What is this old heavy large metal-handled anchor with retractable prongs? The handle has a trigger that releases the prongs. It's about 36 inches long with an ornate handle and writing that I can't make out due to corrosion. It was found in a garden shed after a house purchase. Any ideas? It's an antique Nellis hay spear, sometimes called a hay harpoon. Hay harpoons were used in the late 1800s and early 1900s to lift hay into the hay mow. They were attached to the fork pulley and locked into a hay trolley. The trolley was positioned over the hay, and the fork pulley was released from the trolley with the harpoon attached. It buried itself in the loose hay, and the blades near the point opened up, and the hay was then lifted by horses using the trolley. What is this silver or brass strip about 36 centimeters and stamped with plum blossoms on one side, found in an estate sale? There's a 1 centimeter jade-colored bead riveted to one end and a 7mm loop on the other. No identifiable marks that I can see. It's not a very bendable metal, and there aren't any hammer marks. Any ideas? It's a Chinese jade and sterling silver bookmark from the late 19th to early 20th century. Here's one on eBay with the original fabric-covered cardboard box and the original black silk tassel. What is this thing I found in the bathroom of an old industrial 1960s building in Glasgow? It's about 540 millimeters tall and 250 millimeters deep. It's made from cast iron and white paint. A handle on the side operates the lid on the front, and it has a pipe coming out the top and vents off outside through the wall. Any ideas? It's a bunny incinerator used for incinerating feminine hygiene products. Patented February 9th, 1955, by Ernest Percy Buckle of North Harrow, northwest London. Keep in mind, a metal box meant to contain fire built in the 60s almost certainly has asbestos insulation. Just opening it up, blowing out the cobwebs, and ripping it off the wall is likely to put asbestos dust in the air. I was told about these things when I was qualifying as a gas engineer. I never saw one in the wild. What is this wooden wheel-shaped houseware with 6 evenly spaced holes, a larger central hole, and a plaque with the number 2434 on it? It's made of wood, and its circumference is about 3 times the size of an adult hand. It's in the houseware section of a thrift shop and feels very solid and decently heavy. I'm curious as to what this is. Any ideas? It is definitely a casting pattern. Technically, the pattern is pressed into the casting material to make the mold. The pattern is the positive or model. The mold is the negative into which metal or other material is poured to make copies. My dad worked in foundries and had several old ones for decoration in his office. This is likely a pattern for a lineshaft pulley, an engine flywheel, or a rail cart wheel. It's a bit beefy and small in diameter for a bandsaw wheel. The 2434 is the pattern number. What is this ornate black metal wall corner ornament? My partner found it at a thrift shop and thought it was neat, but was stumped as to what it was for. It looks sort of Victorian, or late 1800s to early 1900s. I originally thought it might be a hinge, but the flat V-shaped pieces are screwed into place, and I assume it meant to sit flat against the wall with 2 screw holes. But from the front, the nicer side of the attached flat pieces points outward, so it feels like something should go in the middle. Just not sure what. Does anyone has seen such a thing, or knows its purpose? I have good news and bad news. The good news is I found out what it is. It's a Victorian letter or napkin holder. And the bad news is, those 2 screw holes are supposed to hold up another piece of metal which is missing. What is this crunched orange vehicle with wooden floorboards and no engine or interior in a field in Washington? It has 4 wheels, no rubber on them, and no windshields. This was at the back of an abandoned airport in East Washington. Any ideas? That's a railroad speeder, probably a Fairmont A4. The series was constructed between 1968 and 1984 by Fairmont Railway Motors in Fairmont, Minnesota. These are basically railroad motor cars, that were used by the maintenance back in the day, primarily in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and early 80s. Some of them were just made for 2 people and others were made for 4 people. They started out with basic belt drive cars, and then they went to a transmission type thing. The top speed on these, you can really get them up to 35 or 40, but running along at a track speed of about 20 to 25 miles an hour tops. We called them putt-putts as a kid when they would come by. I found this at the thrift store. The hook is attached to a metal pole that runs about halfway through the middle, and it looks pretty old. It was jammed up, but it seemed like the pole would slide out and then stay in place from tension on the wood piece. Maybe an adjustable length hook for catching fishing nets or crab pots or something. What the heck is this thing? This is a Japanese jizaikagi from the early 20th century, a pot hook that holds a kettle over a traditional Japanese irori hearth. The fish figure, symbolizing water, is meant to balance the fire and keep the fire contained, in a metaphorical way. Sometimes the fish are carved incredibly delicately, but this one is a bit rougher and you're holding it upside down. What is this copper container with a handle, removable lid, and maskable hole on top? I found it in the attic of an old house, about 15 centimeters in height, and there's a ULB or VLB marking at the bottom. Any ideas? It's a 1940s chocolatera, used for the traditional preparation of hot chocolate drinks in Spain, Latin America, and the Philippines. It is used in combination with a molinillo baton to froth the chocolate. The hole on the lid is for the molinillo, so that you can turn it in with your hands without uncovering the chocolate maker. What is this steel tool with faded red paint found at an electrical parts repair shop? A well-worn pistol-type grip with a screw to apparently change the blade parts. Around 4.5 inches long with a hook on one end and long thin flat grippers on the other. The handle is stamped Ideal Sycamore, Illinois, USA. Any ideas? Please let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Let's make life fun.